This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeats. And of course, catch him 3 times a week here. And as I told you the other night, Ira, I still hate that effing contract of Kyle Lowry. Wow.
You know, Big O, one game. It's just one game. He was injured in the playoffs. He helped the Heat to the best record in the Eastern Conference last season. It was just one game. And the thing I love about our Acura Pembroke Pines reports is this. I can talk to you on Monday at 10:30 after it'll have been 3 games, and we'll have a better idea. So I would hold the violins right now. And based on the way you're holding it, I don't even know if you know how to play a goddamn violin anyway.
Well, what do you think I am, a violinist? No. I don't even know how to do air violin. Air guitar I can do, but I can't do air violin. But, Bam, I chalk it up to a bad night. Why? Because you've earned the track record with me. I know your effort's going to be awesome. I know you'll be back to being the super role player that you are, and you'll score your points, and you'll hit those bunnies around the paint. So Bam having a bad night the other night, I don't worry about it. The Heat having a bad night the other night, I don't worry about it. But I'm sorry, after watching the entire season and then your standoff press conferences about your weight issues, and then this is how you start the season, and to me, it bothers me. So I can't. There are no more excuses for Kyle Lowry. He ran out of excuses during last season. It's time to put up already. Look, it's what I talked about the last couple of weeks. I've talked about this. Nobody gives a shit what Tyreek Hill did in Kansas City. And I was talking about this with Teron Armstead. I said, if he goes on in this direction, it's going to become a terrible deal because nobody gives a shit what you did in New Orleans. You signed a big contract here. You need to produce here. Nobody cares what you did in Toronto, Kyle. And I would figure that it's important to him to prove that he's worthy of that contract, and he has yet to do it. And I think that's insulting to the Heat and to Pat Riley.
He helped produce the best record in the Eastern Conference last season. Now, I know, Big O, it's about what have you done for me in the playoffs. I understand that. But let's not lose sight or traction of also how this started. We were talking, and Eric Spoelstra was talking, and NBA insiders were talking last February about Kyle Lowry being a candidate for the All-Star game. They were. Now, if you're going to get me to sit here and talk about Wednesday night and defend Kyle Lowry, I can't. He wasn't just terrible. He was awful. And I agree with that. But as someone like you who knows, unlike the NFL, when a bad game or a bad move impacts 1/17th of your season every time you're out on the court, this was 1/82nd of the season. And again, honestly, that's why I like what we do on this station, on your show, more than any place else. We constantly get to revisit. We get to update. I will be back on Monday. We will see if Kyle Lowry steps up against the Celtics, which he couldn't during the playoffs because of his injury. We'll see if he steps up against his former team, the Toronto Raptors, instead of some emotional reunion game in Toronto. There still is time. But yes, I agree. It's interesting.
It's a concern. It has to be a concern, Ira.
Yes, it does. And rarely would I tell you that game 2 of an 82-game NBA season is particularly meaningful. But I think for Kyle Lowry, it is tonight because you need to get rid of that. And here's the thing, Big O.
And one more thing, Ira. One more thing.
Sure.
The guy he was facing that night was his former teammate. His former teammate played at an MVP level last year.
As he did, yes.
Signing a big contract. And how did he start the season? With an ass-kicking performance. And he took a lot of pride. I'm watching a guy take a lot of pride after he left Toronto and won a championship actually they traded him away and they won the championship. And then I'm looking at Kyle Lowry, and I don't see the same kind of pride in his game, the same kind of fire. And to me, that's the other thing that's kind of disturbing because if you look
I agree with that. I agree with that. There have been times watching Kyle Lowry where it's almost like, what's the minimum I can do for this team to survive?
Yes.
And how can I preserve myself in a contract that runs through age 38. I agree with all that. And everything, the limiter has to be taken off. It has to be all out. It can't be, you have to wait. Big O, this team is open for the first time ever with a 4-game homestand. That has never happened in the 35 years of the team. They damn well better come out of this 3-1 for this reason. Then they go out for a 3-game Western swing, which includes the Golden State Warriors on the second night of a back-to-back set. That's a schedule loss from the moment the schedule came out.
Yes.
So they better go out west in good shape, or else they're going to come back home in tougher shape. Yes, that was more than just one loss. That was more than just one disappointment from Kyle Lowry. And again, if this happens again tonight against the Boston Celtics, and this happens tomorrow night against the Toronto Raptors, then I will be here on Monday on our Acura Pembroke Pines report agreeing with every single take you had. That's the thing. It might not be go time yet for Jimmy Butler. He's proven it. He's done it.
Oh, he's awesome, dude. He's awesome.
It might not be go time for Bam Adebayo because he played hard.
He leaves it all there. I don't have a problem with Bam at all.
He didn't play well, but he played hard. It's not go time for Max Strus in his reserve role. He was fine on Wednesday night. But I agree, these next two, yes, we can inspect a little more what Kyle Lowry is doing because we expected a little bit more. I agree. You know what? I would say this. That might have been one of the most disappointing Miami Heat season opening nights since that 2006 after they won the championship and got stomped by, I think it was like 48 points by Joakim Noah and the Chicago Bulls. That was not a way to start it. The beauty is this. National TV tonight, Boston Celtics. If ever you can make a statement, it's against the team that came on your home court on May 28th in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals and stole your soul. Now is payback time.
The thing I will also agree with Spo on was the defense. Were you surprised that it wasn't any good the other night?
You know, this will sound harsh, but it's hard to play good defense with Tyler Hero out there because he is such a net negative defender.
Or Kyle Lowry.
What? You can talk team defense, Big O, all you want, but they were isolating. They were picking on the weak link. That's what opposing teams do in today's pick-and-roll NBA. So I think Eric Spoelstra had to go to school for that a little. Again, I am not in favor of starting Tyler Hero. I understand the contract. I understand the ego. I get all of that. But if you put Max Strus in your starting lineup, you have a better balance with shooting. And with Victor Oladipo sidelined, if you put Tyler Hero in the second unit, you have the shot creator that they utterly are lacking. So again, you know, we always talk about the Miami Heat. It's all about the team, right? It's all about 12 men on a rope and all this BS. Well, the best way for Tyler Hero to help the Heat right now is to play on the second unit, at least until Victor Oladipo can come around and be that second unit playmaker. But we know this is a league of salary. We know this is a league of ego.
What's the latest with Depot?
There is no latest, and that's the concern, that all of a sudden, in the Bahamas in the preseason, Eric Spoelstra, don't worry, he's just working his way back. We're going light on him. He'll be right when he's right. Hey, I was fine 2 years ago when he got traded from Houston and was injured. We knew he wouldn't be back, went up for that dunk, got hurt again. I was fine after the quadriceps surgery when they said last year's a wash. You and I were in our Acura Pembroke Pines reports in October, November, December. When's he coming back? But all the while we understood he'll come back when the time is right. I was very encouraged with his defense and play at times, even in the NBA Finals in last year's playoffs. He had like a 28-point game against Boston. I am very surprised right now that you and I are sitting here in October 2022 talking about Victor Oladipo yet to start his season. There seemingly is something more there, or, Big O, he simply is unable to recapture what he was before. And when you're talking about the bad McCaffrey deal, when you're talking about the bad Lowry deal, you know what, Big O? 2 years and $18 million at Victor Oladipo might be one of those bad deals you'll be talking to me about soon on our Acura Pembroke Pines reports as well.
All right, Celtics, man. I'm pretty fearful of this game. I gotta say, they looked good the other day. Brogdon looked like he fit.
Yes,
there was chemistry. That you could tell that they look a little hungry from how things ended last year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I this is one of those games that I hope the Heat. You know what? It's a nice early season test to see if this team can find an A game, because they're going to need an A game tonight.
Right. And again, it's the first night of a back-to-back, so you go all in on this. You worry about Toronto tomorrow. How ironic, a year ago, people were saying, oh, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can't play together and you got to break them up, or you show patience and they each score 35 points in the opener. They're not quite the defensive team without Robert Williams, so you have an advantage there. As it turns out, with Jason Tatum playing power forward, Caleb Martin probably is the right matchup in going a little smaller in this particular matchup. So you can have Jimmy Butler on one. You can have Caleb Martin on one of the two Jasons. We'll see if they are the lockdown defenders. They still stay they are. So what do you need then? If Jimmy's expending energy on defense, and if Caleb's expending energy on defense, you need a Kyle Lowry to step up.
Right.
You need him to get some points against Marcus Smart and not let Marcus Smart get off on the defensive end, because that really fuels the Celtics as well. So, yeah, you need all your guys. Boston's a little shorthanded depth-wise by starting Derek White. Really, Brogdon is their only bench player of note now that Williams and Gallinari are out. So, again, if this depth is our strength mantra from the Heat, then show it tonight. Show your second unit to provide a little bit more than just what Max Strus gave you in Game 1.
Remember, you can follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. And, of course, you can catch his work here a couple times a week with our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat report. And, of course, on Wednesdays, the Red Recover Inside the Paint Show, 1 hardcore hour of Miami Heat and NBA talk. By the way, Ira, UD is the master of ceremonies here for the race at Homestead. We're in Homestead, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
Yes.
We're in Homestead, and UD is the master of ceremonies. Did you know that?
Yeah, I mean, he's injected himself into just about everything down here. I am surprised he hasn't bought a pro pickleball team down here with our older population. But knowing UD, if he sees money in it, that'll follow also. Look, I think UD should enjoy every step of this ride. And what I like about this ride about UD, he's given us finality. It's not going to maybe one more year. We'll see after this year. That's what made the last couple of years so awkward with UD. It's like, is he just collecting every last check he can find? Okay, this is your last year. Go down to Homestead Miami Speedway. Enjoy your day at the races. Go out there, be public, be involved in everything. He deserves this ride. They have the roster spot available. When we see, and we'll talk about this, a game when they could have used another body, we'll address it then. We don't have to address it now. They're not going 15, 16 deep. They have a two-way player already set up who can already help them in Jamal Cain. So they really have 16 instead of 14 right now. So I'm all for UD absolutely savoring every moment of the ride. I also like that he's not getting caught up in these whole jersey swaps, that he's not making himself the thing. It's one thing when Dwayne Wade does it. Every NBA player wants a Dwayne Wade jersey on their wall. UD, God bless him, maybe not so much.
Well, hey, listen, here in Miami, a lot of fans would like a UD jersey on their wall. So, you know, he's got plenty of people in Miami.
What he's done for us. And you know what, yeah, Big O, as soon as he's done wearing the jersey, next season it goes to the rafters. We all know that.
All right, so in a game where you don't score as much as you need against the Bulls, and it's funny because, you know, last year he was kind of the butt of all the jokes and all that stuff. Did they give Duncan Robinson enough playing time in the first night since they need a little more offense? Because I'm looking at a guy that only shot 4 times, and I'm thinking, you know, he shot pretty well in the preseason, so why not unleash the Duncan Meister a little bit more?
Because of the awkwardness of the rotation and what I spoke to you about starting hero. If I had Max Strus in the first unit, Max had a great game. He made 5 3-pointers. He should have been the one taking the shots, but now he's playing alongside Duncan. So you have 2 guys who are very similar there. I don't understand the rotation now. I'll understand it when Victor Oladipo comes back. So you talk about a lack of offense. Who the hell creates points on that second unit right now? You're asking Gabe Vincent to be playing in attack mode? You don't have that. That's the problem right now with this mix. You know, sometimes a subtle little injury affects a bigger thing. Without Oladipo, you're playing Duncan and Max together. They were the same player. I mean, Max laughed with me in the offseason. I said, are you the same person? Until this year, we never saw you in the same place at the same time. There's a reason for that. There's too much overlap. If you're starting Max and you're playing Tyler with the second unit, then Duncan can space the floor for Tyler. You can get those driving kicks a little bit more. And instead, it's all about ego, so Tyler starts.
All right. What are you working on the Sun Sentinel, my friend? So folks can check you out leading up to the Celtics tonight and the Raptors tomorrow.
A few things. I did an Ask Ira today saying, are there too many alphas in the Heat starting lineup? Again, going back with Tyler Hero. That if Tyler wants the ball, the Bam wants the ball, and Jimmy wants the ball, maybe this is all we get from Kyle Lowry because he's being too deferential to guys who want the ball. Posted that already. That's online. Did a story about Max Strus playing as a reserve and saying, you know what? Even though he's not a leading man, he played the entire playoffs as a starter. Played the last 2 weeks, the last regular season as a starter. So it is a little bit of an adjustment. That's what they're going through. Max said, look, 13 guys are back, but we're in different roles. That might take some time. We certainly saw that in the opener. And just for you, Big O, I'm working on my Sunday column. We posted Sunday in the paper, Saturday online. I looked at every major contract the Heat gave to a player, 30 years and older. Which ones worked out, which ones didn't. Shaquille O'Neal at 33 got a 5-year deal. Only stayed for 3 years, but they got a championship. Mike Miller at 30 got a 5-year deal, was amnestied after 3, but they got 2 championships. Tim Hardaway got a $12 million deal at 33 and a bunch of weigh-ins. And then the other contracts, the James Johnsons, the other players in the 30s that didn't work out. So for those weighing Jimmy Butler, which I still think is a good contract.
No, that one still has worked out. What hasn't worked out with the Jimmy Butler deal is what I've thought of from the get-go, that you had to get that superstar and pair him with him early in this process. And now you have failed. What is this? Is year 3 now with Butler or 4?
This is year 1 of his extension, but year 3 of Jimmy being with the Heat. Correct.
So that's my problem now. You've gone through 3 years. You're going to put 3 years of wear and tear on his body, and you didn't pair him with that other superstar so you can go get a title. I don't know if it'll ever happen with Butler. So he gave you your money's worth, but you as an organization failed to pair him with that other star that really could have lifted the Heat. And
yet, Big O, he picked Kyle Lowry. And if it wasn't for Jimmy Butler pushing, they wouldn't have made that deal. So you know what? Be careful of what you ask for. He got what he wanted. Now he has to help make that work as well. Anyway, that'll be in Sunday's paper online tomorrow. But it's really interesting because Pat, over his 25 years plus with the Heat, has paid a lot of 30-somethings, a lot of money. Sometimes it works. Now we wait on Butler and Lowry to see if it works again.
Yeah, hey, listen. LeBron James wanted some point guard out of the draft, and sometimes you just can't make these players general managers. Sometimes they just need to be players, and you handle, the business. The Mike Miller thing was a great example. LeBron got all pissed, but Mike was a sack of injuries and broken down. He really only had that one season and really a couple of games in that season. With
the shoe and a couple of others.
Yeah.
But LeBron, that was the first move the Heat made when they got the big 3. LeBron said, get him. They traded Michael Beasley off to the Timberwolves. They amnestied Mike Miller at the end because it didn't work out well. So again, when you give decent money to 30-something, sometimes you get Ray Allen, sometimes you get Shane Battier, and sometimes you get guys who just can't make it to the finish line.
Yeah. Those 2 guys you mentioned are pros. That's why you got the most out of them. All right, follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Ira, have a fantastic weekend. We will be following your coverage of the Miami Heat this weekend. Thank you.
Back Monday, 10:30 a.m., Acura Pembroke Pines Report with the Kyle Lowry Report. Thank you, Big O.
Yes, sir. You got it. The KL Report. And, of course, Acura Pembroke Pines, 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 in Pines. Tell them that Big O sent you. They'll take care of you right there at the finest dealership in the business. Craig Zins, Acura of Pembroke Pines.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.